Now, before we leave the topic of DTDs, and right now we've just been talking about the structure, we're going to look at actually validating these things a little later on in the course, but I'm going to talk about the XML schemas before I talk about validating, because that's a whole other world. But in this example, we have an XML document and then a separate DTD document, and that's called an external DTD. Now, when I use an external DTD, there's a couple of things that have to happen. First of all, I have to tell it up here in the standalone attribute of my XML declaration that this is not a standalone XML document, that something else has to happen with it. Then notice right here, here is my other version of a DTD, which is a document type declaration. Now, I know this is confusing, but this is a DTD, a document type definition. This defines the document type and what can happen in here. The declaration tells the XML file, and notice the declaration is in the XML file. It tells this XML file where to look to get its validation information. And notice the doc type, it's mentioning the root. People is the root. System, I won't get into that right now, but notice this is just pointing to people DTD.dtd. Now this works because this DTD, people DTD file, is in the same folder as my XML file. Keep in mind, this can be a hypertext link. It could say http:// and point to a DTD that's stored on a web server somewhere, and that's what a lot of companies will do. And then all the documents have to validate against that. But for now, just notice that I've got a external DTD. Now, what if I want to do an internal? And a lot of times when you're developing, that's what you'll do. And I'll show you how to convert this to an internal DTD. What I will do is take that part off, and I'll just say doc type people. Then I will put an open bracket, and I'm going to give myself a few lines here. Then I want you to notice that I'm simply going to copy my DTD document information and put it right here under this doc type statement. So there's the doc type statement. This is identical to what was in my external DTD. Then at the end, I will simply close that bracket. And now I'm done. Now let me pull this up. Now what's going to happen here is I can run this through a parser, and it will check this information down here against this information right here to tell me if it's valid or not. Now, you won't see this very often in the real world necessarily, but it's great for developing because you can see, and in some of the examples I showed you, this stuff can get pretty involved. And so you can build it up here while you're looking at your data here, then attempt to open it and validate it with your tools or whatever, and make sure you've got it right. Then once you get it there, then you can cut it and paste it just like this. If you just grab this section right here, cut it and paste it out here into an external file, and then put your full link that refers this XML document to the DTD. So that's the difference between an internal and an external DTD.